Well, welcome back to the CPA Firm Partners Conference. My name is Marc Belaiche. I'm president of TorontoJobs.ca. Looking forward to having a great panel, a great discussion here with a couple of amazing people. So hopefully we will have some good dialogue. If you have any questions for the panel, feel free to post them in the stage area or in the event area, and I can moderate as well from there. So I'm joined by Robert Gauvreau, partner at Gauvreau and Associates, CPA. Why don't we start with you, Bob, and maybe introduce yourself for those that may not know you. Talk about your firm. You're out of Peterborough, but maybe how about your career a little bit, and go from there.
Yeah, well, thanks, Marc, and thanks for having me. So like Marc said, Gauvreau CPA, we're a mid-sized firm, and depending where you're from, like we would call that mid-sized in Peterborough, you'd probably call it a small firm in Toronto. We're a team of 35, and we focus specifically on working with owner-manager businesses. We created the firm in 2008 and from scratch, which has been a really interesting ride and roller coaster along the way. And have grown it now up to being just shy of a $5 million firm. And again, continuing just to support the entrepreneurial market. One of the things that has really been interesting for us, and maybe just a quick short story, is that we got recruited by Tony Robbins back in 2012 to come down and be his Canadian CPA partner with his global accounting advisors. And so one of the things that we really learned from working with Tony Robbins and his group was that we really wanted and enjoyed focusing on business advisory and on proactive planning. So that's kind of the space that we sit in here.
Excellent. Well, and you've had phenomenal success since you joined, and we're going to talk about your social media and how you've done that as well, because it's been really excellent, the path that you've done. So, and Terri McKinnon is partner at PwC LLP. Terri, we've known each other for a long time as well, and I wanted to welcome you here, and thanks for your time. Just wanted, maybe you can start by talking about yourself and a little bit about your career and some of your background.
Yeah, thank you very much, Marc. It's a pleasure to be here with everyone today. So I've been in public accounting for over 30 years, and I'm based in Toronto, and I've mainly spent that time with PwC. My practice has been mainly with private entities, not-for-profit organizations, and public sector, and I'm in the assurance practice. For the past 6 years, I've been in our broader assurance practice. And I'm working with mainly public sector, but also I've maintained my not-for-profit practice. I'm entities. And so I deliver external audits, internal audits, risk management engagements, some kind of small C consulting engagements as well. I've been for over 30 public accounting.
Great. Well, thanks as well again for being on here. Well, I'll flip back and forth between Bob and Terri. If you have any questions for the panel, feel free to post them in the event or in the stage area. I'm happy to moderate them. So Bob, obviously the news is the pandemic, the last 12 months. A lot of firms are saying they've been busier. Some clients that we have are saying they're busier than they were before the pandemic. So how are you finding things? What are the challenges that you've had, and what are you seeing on your end?
Yeah, for sure. So it's definitely been interesting, right? When the pandemic hit a year ago, there was a lot of learning to happen, right? A lot of different resources became available, which took up a lot of time to really understand, how and what was available, how to apply for it, how to support people. So right out of the gates, I would say my full-time role almost became, let's understand what's available and how we can get that message out to people. So we took a really proactive approach to making sure that our social media and our information and resources were getting out to our clients. So that certainly built onto a large amount of work that we had. We've certainly continued to feel that, especially with the wage subsidies. That's kind of been an ongoing battle with us, with being just a for-profit organization that we focus with. everybody who would need the wage subsidy has been coming to us because it has been a little bit more probably complicated than most people would want to take on. At the same time, for us, I know that we were very generous with what we were charging people for the wage subsidy in comparison to, the time and commitment that it took our team and the resources for our team, because we knew that those were the people who really needed our help. So that, is still ongoing and will hopefully still, it'll be ongoing until the summer. Hopefully it'll die off. So from that end, the volume of work per client went up, but I would say based on our approach and our informing, the SME market of all these resources, we've definitely taken on a lot more clientele over the last 12 months as well. And it's led to our team. We've added 15 people in the last 12 months just to deal with that additional workload. So for sure, we've seen that. And the other thing I would say that we've seen is that there maybe used to be an imaginary border of where people would want to work with a local CPA based on the proximity to them, where now the new communication tools that are available and everybody's been forced into using has really opened up that border. So we've been able to, especially on the advisory work side, take on more work all across North America, which has been really exciting.
Yeah, that's great. Communications has really helped that way, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
Terri, how about you? Last 12 months, PwC from a big four perspective.
Yeah, most others in terms of our staff working virtually for the past year now. Because our for a few months, summer before the second wave had hit, but even then only to 15% capacity. People that went into the office, some partners, staff living in condos, and people who had young families at home. But I don't even think we even came close to reaching the capacity of 15% during those months. It was a difficult transition for us because we work remotely. Certainly the pandemic catapulted clients into using our technology where they didn't before. And we had introduced a cloud-based tool about 5 years ago, which allows you to upload documents into a secure platform. There were many that weren't using it before, and certainly now it's a very small percentage that have it. So, even though we were able to work remotely, though, I would say that it hasn't been very effective. Where staff are working in teams at client sites, certainly different, and coaching be much more difficult between our teams, and not being able to sit beside that person and explain things, it does impede on the work getting done, and the staff tend to spin their wheels a little bit more. So as a result, I would say the efficiency decreased. So I saw hours charged to my clients increase 10-15%, which in some cases can wipe out an engagement margin. So teams are getting better, but it's not the same. It's not the mental health offered like it has for many. We saw an increase in mental health leave of the staff. And the job market's also picked up, late summer, fall, and we saw an exodus of pent-up demand for those looking to leave earlier. And now we're finding it difficult to hire because there's a lot of things out there. Many projects were put on hold and affected our financial results, but in September we saw, a return to normal, beyond normal, and we are certainly experiencing excellent growth and for this year.
Great, that's great. Well, you're seeing two different perspectives between a large firm and a smaller firm. So it's good that we're getting the balance. If you have any questions for either Terri or Bob, feel free to post them in the event or the stage, and I will moderate as well. Again, my name is Marc Belaiche. If you're just joining, president of TorontoJobs.ca. Bob Gauvreau is partner at Gauvreau and Associates, CPA in Peterborough, Ontario, and Terri McKinnon is partner with PwC LLP in Toronto as well. So Bob, I want to talk about your social media because you really, as soon as the pandemic hit, it seemed like it exploded, but I think you were doing it even before that. So maybe talk about how it's helped you, if you use somebody to help you do it, if it's coming from you, maybe you can give a little bit of background of what you did.
For sure. Yeah. And with the pandemic happening, so the one channel that we went to is we created a Facebook group, and we just started inviting people in to share the resources, to say, this is going to be the one spot that we're going to continue to share every single piece of information. And at that time, as we all know, information was coming out every single day. So for us, we were going live in social media every single day, sharing every announcement. When the Prime Minister would announce, the new programs or the new options or availability of anything, we were sharing that on a daily basis, just to ultimately, what our goal was to provide certainty in uncertain times. So at least there was a little bit of direction and everything wasn't so vague. So we definitely did that as a big project. And I think maybe leading up to that, for the last 5 or 6 years, we've had a pretty good social presence, meaning that we're actively sharing resources, tools, and tips with our clientele, with our market. For the most part, it's been, from a branding standpoint, we want to be seen as, that smaller firm that's almost like the boutique firm that's focused on working with business owners. So here is all the tips that we can give to help business owners be more successful. Initially, I think I started out doing it by myself, realized I wasn't very good at it and that there are people much better than me to come in and do that. We ended up hiring somebody internally at the time, not really understanding, what that role would look like or what the success criteria were for that role. And then we did outsource it for quite a few years, and just recently in the fall of 2020 brought it back in-house and now are very clear on the roles and responsibilities and the objectives of our social media team, which is really great. But yeah, again, from our standpoint, the intent has always been to share resources, provide advice and guidance to give people certainty and direction when maybe otherwise they wouldn't have it. And then should they need us as a partner in that advice piece or in that advisory and guidance piece, that we're always available to them.
Mm-hmm. Great advice. Yeah. And the strategy has really been great because, I see your posts and I'm like, wow, really reaching out, right? And not a lot of firms do that. So congrats to you to do that. Terri, technology, any thoughts? I mean, obviously you mentioned about people working from home. Say just from a management perspective, anything that you've taken away, something that's helped you in terms of managing, any technology tips that that you're comfortable sharing or anything along those lines?
As I said, technology since it was going into it. It was really about how to manage the staff and using it on a more remote basis. One exciting thing we did do, though, kicked off probably at the beginning, something that we call our digital lab, which is where a place for our staff to be able to technological solutions. So they're usually based on a client. They developed a solution and they saw an opportunity for everyone to benefit, or a broader group within the firm to benefit from. And so there's a validation process, making sure it's something that can be leveraged across the firm. And so what we're seeing is a huge number of technology related, Alteryx, some BI solution to automate what we're currently doing. So it could be tax, it could be on the audit side, it could be administrative. And so what we're seeing of how our with these technological solutions and how we're able to enable them such that the rest of the firm can leverage from these tools. So I wouldn't say it's because of the pandemic, but I would say certainly technology, the focus on it due to the pandemic is that it was.
Excellent. Well, thanks again. Thanks for sharing, Terri. So Bob, coming back to you, you mentioned about the wage subsidy earlier. Your focus is a lot with business owners and really working through the challenges with them over the last year. So what are your thoughts on government programs between Ontario Small Business Grant, CBA, the CERB, wage subsidy program, like the various programs? Good, bad, hit the mark, didn't hit the mark? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, great. Hopefully there's nobody on here from CRA if they're going to judge me. No, it's okay. And listen, we were definitely in unprecedented times. So last March, circumstances arose where, we've never dealt with before. And I feel like one of the challenges would be, did they jump into advancing the CERB quicker than they should have? And making it so easy to access that everyone was getting it, even if they deserved it or not. I feel like, from my perspective anyway, they did what they needed to do to make sure that everybody had the security they needed. Did the outcome work out exactly how they wanted it to? Maybe, and maybe they would have changed it. And I think one of the areas that is evident of the fact that they would have done it differently is the wage subsidy. So when the wage subsidy first came out, and it was, if your revenue was down 30%, you were going to be able to claim 75% of your wage as a recovery in your business. That was a pretty substantial boost for a lot of people. And the same boost for people who were 31% down or 99% down. And so the challenge was, I feel anyway, that the initial wage subsidy was maybe a little heavy. A lot of my clients who were down 30% ended up being in a better position at the end of the year than they were before. And I don't think that was the intent of the program. But, when it initially rolled out, this was what they had come up with so they could get access to businesses quickly. And again, the small business community is very appreciative. I think, again, from my perspective, when they tweaked the program in August, September, to make it a little bit more proportionate to how the revenue was down compared to the comparison period, it fixed a lot of the subsidy, maybe over subsidization for some, and under subsidization for others. So, do I feel like they could have done things differently? Let's just say 100%. But they had no idea how to address this and no economic precedents to deal with this. And I think they've done a really good job helping as many people continue to survive as they can.
Yeah. Oh, they couldn't really pull out the playbook from the 1918, 1919 Spanish flu, right? So,
yeah, things are a little different now, right?
Right. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. And if you might remember, initially they had the 10% amount, right, as a kickback, and that didn't last very long. So, so we're joined by a new panelist, also Chandra, as tax partner at Maurice Morneau Tax. Chandra, thanks for being on. And can you hear me okay?
Yeah, everything is good.
Excellent. So, Chandra, we're just, maybe you can catch up a little bit, just introduce yourself a little bit and talk about you and what you do.
Hi, I am Chandra Kancheti. I'm a tax partner at Maurice Morneau Tax. It is a local small accounting firm, but we get more than 5,000 personal tax clients in these 2 months. So we had a difficulty with the coronavirus hit in the last year. Like, I had to let go 6 employees, and then we have struggled a little bit. So this year I planned much ahead from September, everything like properly organizing and everything. If this is not happening, what is the technologically we developed all the systems where staff can work from home with remotely and everything. We take that. And also, if the customer is not coming to my office, then they can use our app. This is the first app that we introduced in entire Canada. So this is the first tax app. So they will take pictures on the phone. They send the tax slips to us. We tell them the fee. They pay the fee. That's it. Tax return is done, signed, done. It's like a 3-step process for the customer. So we did all that kind of changes. This year we are very successful. So we have another location also in Toronto now.
And your first location is also Toronto. So you have 2 locations in Toronto.
No, our first headquarters location, which I'm sitting here, is in Windsor.
Oh, you're in Windsor. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
Windsor and Toronto. Fantastic.
Yes.
Well, great. Thanks for being on here. Terri, over to you. We've got about 10 minutes left to try to get in as many questions as possible. So Terri, there's been a recent survey talked about the 5 toughest problems that accounting firms face today. Retiring baby boomers, winning the talent war, pressure to reduce prices, standing out from the competition, and advancing technology. Which do you think of those is your toughest, or do you have others that you would add to the list?
That's a great list. Check the box on all of those. I would say the one that we're probably the most ahead is the technology side of things. I think we're very technology enabled in what we do. I think the labor, it's trying to retain who we have, and that's becoming really tough during this pandemic. We're seeing greater numbers exit the firm because of the pressure to work and environment to support them. So, I'd say people definitely from all fronts. It's interesting when CPA program, we thought we might not get as many other. That wasn't the case necessarily, but for us, it's about retaining, especially with the new generation. The generation that we're hiring, they're more apt to leave and go somewhere working, and accounting firm is not what they see them. In my day, maybe 10 years, it's more like 2-3 years down the road. So I would say is and continue our greatest challenge.
Okay, terrific. Chandra, how about you? What's your biggest challenge?
Being a small company, we don't have problems with the retaining the employees and all, but it's always the technology part and the flexibility that we give the employees, right? Like now they should be able to work from anywhere, which is significantly changing the way how we do the business. Being a small firm, we thought we could not have afford someone working somewhere, and we will be able to do the taxes here. But now a reviewer is somewhere else, a preparer is somewhere else. All we are doing, we have few staff here taking the papers, scanning them, and getting the things done. So that changed a lot because last year, without those people, having them to go in March, it was difficult. But now we are able to do, with the help of technology, we are so much surviving.
Excellent. But how about you? Like, what leadership challenges, like what have you found out about yourself for the last year and trying to manage a team during people working from home, pandemic, the changes that have been rapid? You got the different generation trying to hire, which you have 15 people over the last year. What have you learned about yourself and the challenges?
Yeah, I feel like my role has drastically changed in the last 12 months. When the pandemic hit, and I think Terri said this as well, we did go with everybody working from home, and there were definitely efficiency challenges. And not necessarily because we feel like anybody was taking advantage of the situation, but that, there's just so many distractions outside of that work environment that it's super challenging. Dogs, wanting to go outside and, picking up and putting the stuff down, and kids and spouses and, whatever, just too many distractions that it became challenging there. I definitely learned at that point, I did not sign up to be a virtual partner. My connection with people is so important. And I learned that about myself. I always knew that I loved people, but man, oh man, when I don't have that energy around me, it certainly changes everything for me. I'm good with, so the technology side, I'm good. I'm really excited about the technology and the fact that we can, present to different people around North America, around the world, right? Now we've got clients and connections everywhere that can communicate effectively. And I'm good with our client meetings being on the screen. I actually love that. And I'm embracing that a lot because of the efficiencies related to that. But I need my people to surround me. And so as a leader and continuing to grow my team out, for sure, my role has definitely become more of being the leader versus being the technician. And, as a technician or an artist, if we want to call ourselves as CPAs as artists, because we're good at a craft, it's kind of hard to let that go sometimes. And, I'm definitely learning how to do that and how to be the leader that's providing the vision for our team to continue to grow and foster creativity. So anyway, lots of things have changed over the last year, Marc, but for sure me knowing that I need my people around me is a big one.
It's really important. Yeah. So we only have a couple minutes left, but kind of 30 seconds to anybody who wants to wrap things up, promote something. I know, Bob, you want to promote something. Terri, Chandra, anything you want to promote or add to the conversation from anything we've talked about?
I provide a lot of tax services like non-resident taxes, especially many CPAs reach out to me to do their non-resident taxes and US taxes, especially global employer services also. Anyone who is moving from one country to other country, from Canada or from the USA perspective, I was able to do it. So many CPAs come to us to get their US and Canadian non-resident taxes done.
Terrific. That's great. Terri, Rob, Bob, anything else to wrap up?
I'll just quickly jump in. We've got a virtual summit.
We have.
Oh, sorry, Terri. I've got a virtual summit that we're putting on. If you have any entrepreneurial clients who are, big Gary Vee fans, we've brought Gary Vee in, Gary Vaynerchuk as a headline speaker. It's April 9th, of course, right in the midst of tax season. I put the link in the chat there if anybody's interested, but yeah, we're certainly trying to advance ourselves in the virtual event space as well.
Excellent. Terri, you were going to say something as well? Thanks, Bob. You're on mute, Terri.
Looking for a mid-tier firm who focus. It's not showing on mute.
Go ahead. You're good.
Okay, thanks. I'm always looking for a mid-sized firm who has some focus on not-for-profits. I get approached quite a bit for auditor of a not-for-profit, and sometimes the so if anybody's out there focuses on not-for-profit, find me on LinkedIn and please send me a message.
Excellent. Well, thanks to the three of you. Thanks to everybody who came to the Canadian CPA Firm Partners Conference. The event has been presented by TorontoJobs.ca and powered by EventLogic.ca, Logic with a K. Also TorontoEntrepreneurs.ca. I want to thank as a sponsor as well. My name is Marc Belaiche, president of TorontoJobs.ca. I want to thank Chandra, tax partner, Maurice Morneau Tax, Bob Gauvreau, partner at Gauvreau and Associates CPA, and Terri McKinnon, partner at PwC LLP, for joining me today. Let us know how we did. You'll be getting a feedback, a survey in the next 24 hours or so into your inbox. We'll send you a survey. Let us know how we did so that we can improve for the future. I want to thank all the other speakers as well and the team as well. There's a lot of people behind the scenes here: Rachel, Sandra, Alex, Jussie, and Anne. Want to thank everybody for the support as well. If you are looking to hire, TorontoJobs.ca can certainly help with staffing needs. feel free to email sales@TorontoJobs.ca, eventlogic.ca if there's an event that you'd like to have put together. And if you'd like to have your organization and services highlighted, we have speaker, sponsor, and exhibitor options available. Please reach out to me or check out eventlogic.ca. It's a great team to promote and support your events. I'm just going to put in the upcoming events in the chat as well. We have a number of great events that are coming up. The Canadian Controllers Conference happens on Tuesday, March 23rd. The link is in the chat. The Toronto Entrepreneurs Conference happens on Thursday, March 25th. The Canadian Virtual Employment Law Conference happens on Friday, March 26th. Just putting it in the chat. The Canadian Virtual CPA PD Day that qualifies for PD is also happening on Wednesday, April 7th. And then finally, we have the Canadian Virtual CFO Conference that happens on Tuesday, May 11th. So a lot of great events coming up. Feel free to connect with all of us through social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And we actually tack on an extra 10 minutes to the event so you can head into the networking area. I'm going to go in there shortly, maybe meet up with some people. So we add on an extra 10 minutes to the event. So thanks again, Terri, Bob, and Chandra for being on here. And thanks to all of you for watching. And have a great day and stay safe. And look forward to hopefully seeing you at another virtual event coming up. So thanks very much.
Thank you very much for Marc and your team.
Thank you, Marc.